Marketplace t-shirt.
Okay.
And this one's for your favorite person.
Perfect. I survived the Marketplace mobile app.
I survived Marketplace mobile app.
I survived the Marketplace mobile app.
Good job.
I survived.
Next week, Marketplace is on the move, going undercover, tracking every step of a long-distance move.
That's our spot. Sitting there in a movie theater parking lot for an entire weekend. That's just unbelievable.
Misleading quotes, botched waits.
They were charging me 4 times the amount quoted. Pretty much went shopping.
Can you trust your mover?
You don't need a special license. All that you simply need is a nice looking website, a phone, and you're up and running.
Coming soon on Marketplace. Online reviews. We all rely on that. But are they for real?
I was fooled by that, and I like to think of myself as an educated consumer.
We're searching for one of Canada's most popular online reviewers.
Personally seen numerous people lose 9 to 11 pounds during their first week.
She sells hundreds of testimonials. Problem is, they're all fake.
I'm a certified financial advisor, and I'm a designer, and I'm a teacher.
We want to know why she does it. Why do you do so many fake reviews? Aren't you a student people? I don't even know if you're gonna make money. Why won't you talk to us?
In a world where people feel they've seen it all, how far should investigative journalists go to get your attention? The Investigators starts now.
Our app that's free to download. You want to try it out?
Yeah, sure.
We've hijacked their phones with total access to their private lives.
It makes me feel violated.
We didn't want to invade people's privacy. That wasn't the objective. You have to sometimes show someone. Because if you tell them, it's, yeah, I get it.
First responders could barely keep up with the overdoses.
You overdose, your heart stops. It's not my job to sanitize that when there's 755 people dead so far.
I'm Diana Swain. We're the Investigators. This is what we do. I need to get your attention. As a journalist, whether I'm writing for online or television, I'm competing against all that clutter out there to try to get you to look at my story. And often that means journalists have to figure out just how far to push to get you to take notice.
You're part of an exclusive group that's going to get a sneak peek at our daily horoscope app.
CBC's investigative program Marketplace asked passers-by if they'd be interested in trying out a new app on their Android phones.
Sure, I could do that.
Can I read those terms and conditions?
You didn't even read them.
I did.
Did you?
Like reading skills are
That was like speed reading.
What participants don't know is that this is, in fact, a journalistic experiment about privacy. And those licensing conditions that people didn't really read actually gave CBC unfettered access to their phone. That's text, the camera, even the microphone.
They have no clue right now that we're doing this. Wow. Yeah, that's our tester.
Shocked by how easy it was for CBC journalists to gain that access? Well, that's what the experiment aimed to demonstrate. Many popular apps come with those same sweeping terms and conditions.
Text messages. We had access to that.
Everything? Oh
You
my.
needed a lab coat. Did you ever try
Yes.
this one?
Fast forward to the big reveal.
You guys could have taken pictures at the wrong time. And we listened to conversations that were private.
But not everyone thinks this experiment was fair play.
You basically my privacy is just like happening.
Except to their terms. That's the thing.
Yeah, but we all accept terms and conditions, but it doesn't get this way.
So, did the journalists go too far to illustrate the point?
All right, now Alicia, you're the perfect person to answer these questions. You produced this item. And there were lots of ethical challenges. You know, I can see that in watching this. So let's start, first of all, with what is it you wanted to achieve with the story?
So, we all live in this app-obsessed world. We carry our phones like we're married to them, and we don't really realize how much information we're giving away to companies when we download smartphone apps. And when we started researching this story, we thought, okay, people just need to know this. And what better way than to illustrate it? So we used some of the big popular apps as our guide, the same similar permissions they use, and we created our own horoscope app, and on the streets of Toronto, we asked people to download it.
And those terms and conditions, they press, yeah, sure, like people do, not realizing what they had just signed away.
Well, yeah, exactly. We asked, just about 8 to 10 people to download the app, and the majority of them just scrolled through and clicked accept and install. A couple of people skimmed through it and said, hold on, give me a second. But no one took longer than a minute. And I mean, our terms and conditions laid out exactly what we had access to. In bullet point form, we said, we'll be able to read your call logs, read your text messages, access a lot on your phone, track your location. But no one took the time to read through that.
And so you got it to that point, and you could have just said to people, hey, look what you just agreed to. But to illustrate the point, you go further, which was pretty interesting, including accessing someone's phone when they didn't know you were doing that. So let's just take a look at that moment.
We had the ability to own your phone. How are you feeling about that?
I need to do a better job of skimming. Because I know that I did take a moment to look for keywords, and I just obviously didn't do quite a good enough job.
Okay, so my first thought was, okay, if you just go into someone's phone, they could be in the bathroom, they could be in bed, they could be in the change room, they could be in any number of really personal moments. How did you manage that?
So obviously we had a lot of team discussions. We didn't want to invade people's privacy. That wasn't the objective. We didn't sit there for days going through people's personal data. We just looked just a little bit, just to prove our point. We looked at a few text messages, we looked at a few call logs. But really the point, Diana, was not people's data. It wasn't, what is X, Y, and Z doing on Monday afternoon? It was the access they were giving us. So I think big picture, that was the point we were trying to make. I mean, thankfully we didn't find anything that would have made them feel inappropriate or uncomfortable. Nothing. And if we would have found it, journalistically, legally, ethically, we wouldn't have aired it. Because again, that wasn't the point.
Okay, but you did use some personal information on the air, some of what you found. So let's just take one of those examples.
You gave us permission to look at your call logs. Does this look familiar to you?
It does.
I noticed that there's someone you message all the time called Snoop Dogg.
Yeah. It's kind of creepy.
Yeah, it is, right? Because that's his buddy. He doesn't expect everybody to be always talking to Snoop Dogg.
Right.
I mean, that is personal information that's now out there.
Right, so it is personal information, but honestly I feel like we erred on the conservative side. Yeah, we found out that Snoop Dogg was in fact this tester's best friend.
Okay.
But for the most part, I mean, if you actually watch the story, we use live shots, we don't really hone in on people's personal data, we blurred, contacts, phone numbers, text messages. It was really the exchange between the host and the tester to say, hey, we know, but the viewers at home won't get that personal information.
Okay, and we know that not everybody loved this experiment.
No, not everybody did. But, at the end of the day, big picture, what we were trying to prove was, I do it, you might do it, a lot of people do it. We click install, we download these apps, we don't really know what permissions we're giving up. And once we explained to these testers what the bigger objective was, it was really an educational, eye-opening experience for them.
Not just say it, but show them, right?
We show them. And I think that's the thing. You have to sometimes show someone. Because if you tell them, it's, yeah, I get it. But when you show them, they really start to understand. So it was a really eye-opening experience for them.
Very quick, what if you had found something? What if you'd gone into their phone and in that moment you actually see them in the commission of a crime?
I'm sure if we would have found anything like that, just for different conversations would have been had, different considerations would have been made.
Really interesting. Thank you.
Thank you.
If the prospect is someone secretly accessing your phone's camera or microphone, as you wanted to throw your phone out right now, hang on a second. This is the Consumer Electronics Show that's been on this week in Las Vegas. Along with the latest in robots and entertainment systems, an entire industry is springing up now that's aimed at giving you back some personal power. That's something CBC's senior technology writer Matthew Braga has been looking into. How is the industry showing that it's taking seriously the privacy rights of consumers?
Well, so naturally, you talk to a lot of these companies, especially companies that are creating sort of smart connected home devices. So, internet connected cameras, dishwashers, even shower heads, right?
And, everyone, of course, is going to talk about how their devices are secure, they respect privacy and that sort of stuff. And, it was kind of interesting to kind of hear sort of what everyone was kind of, thinking in terms of sort of their protections, right? I mean, I had some camera companies that said that their approach to privacy is, literally building mechanical shutters right on their cameras so that, someone can't, remotely turn a camera on in software. Or, I had other companies saying, okay, we collect all this data from your home, but we actually store it locally. We don't put it up into the cloud. And so, it's kind of hard to sort of, test all these claims out just, talking to people at the show. But the fact that people are kind of talking about this and being really open about sort of, code reviews of their software and security audits and things like, penetration testing to see, can attackers get into, the devices and get people's data out and take control and all that sort of stuff. People are definitely willing to talk about it. And so I hope that kind of shows that the industry is maybe moving into a direction that is taking these sorts of issues a little bit more proactively perhaps than they were in the past.
And do you think that they recognize that consumers, like me, are getting a little antsy about just the level of encroachment now?
I hope so. I mean, an example that I was, using yesterday when talking with someone is, you have your phone now and you can, look at a privacy settings page, right? It shows every app that's using your location, access to your photos, et cetera, et cetera. But, as the number of devices, I think, that have access to our information, as the number of devices that are connected to the internet and gathering data and sort of just collecting information about ourselves increases, I almost wonder whether there's going to have to be at some point, like, a dashboard for the home, right, that shows, oh, my thermostat is using my location on this day, or, my dishwasher is connecting to the internet here, or, something that kind of gives consumers a little bit more of a sense of how are all of these new technologies, basically using our data and sharing our data and storing it in ways that I don't think people fully grasp yet.
That's going to be interesting to watch for. Thanks, Matthew.
Thanks, Diana.
How do journalists weigh the right to privacy with the need to show a public health disaster? We'll take you to the front lines of Canada's opioid crisis. Plus, hackers are targeting victims through fake news stories. Just one of the 5 things we learned from investigative journalism this week. Our roundup is next. But first,
on time and on budget.
Washington is getting ready for Donald Trump's inauguration, and journalists are scrambling to figure out who'll be headlining the presidential party.
It remains doubtful that we're going to see musical performances of the, shall we say, caliber that the self-described billionaire would consider big league.
Figures Andrea Bocelli, Gene Simmons, Celine Dion, and Elton John have also resigned.
So why is this news?
Beyonce, James Taylor, Brad Paisley. Those are just a few of the A-list entertainers who sang at President Obama's last inauguration.
Right. So, how does Donald Trump feel about getting a cold shoulder from the hot list?
The president-elect displaying his disdain on Twitter, saying the so-called A-list celebrities are all wanting tickets to the inauguration, but look what they did for Hillary. Nothing. I want the people.
Fair enough. No celebrities at this inauguration then, just regular people. Unless, of course, what you actually mean is that your team is still trying to get a headliner.
So I understand you're trying to get either Justin Timberlake or Bruno Mars to perform at the inauguration, right?
Yes. They can call me, by the way.
What's that?
Call me.
What is she doing here?
She's going to help with the business.
It's no different than selling milk and potatoes.
I didn't really know anything about my family history. Went to Ancestry. I put in the names of my grandparents first. I got a leaf right away. A leaf is a hint that is connected to each person in your family tree. I learned that my 10 times great grandmother is George Washington's aunt. Within a few days, I went from knowing almost nothing to, holy crow, I'm related to George Washington. This is my cousin George.
Discover your story. Start searching for free now at Ancestry.ca.
Homemade pasta sauce will always win, but with inspiration from the regions of Italy, we're a pretty close second.
Since I started Weight Watchers, I've lost over 40 pounds. I can honestly tell you, I struggle no more. I've eaten everything I